Hey, it's Chris. What are we talking about today? Dice Throne. Marvel X-Men Dice Throne. The crowdfunding campaign for this version of your dice rolling battle Yahtzee is almost upon us. Why we need to talk about this for a second? Twofold. One, analyzing a little bit of the data that's out there, plus a little bit of what we know about the missions that are going to go along with it, as well as talking about why toxic fan bases are becoming a problem. Yeah, those things are going together. Let's talk. So, in case you're not familiar, Dice Throne, Marvel, coming out with the X-Men. They are slowly revealing things. Towards the end of October, we'll see the crowdfunding campaign. You're going to have new characters along your X-Men favorites. You're going to have a mission-based system that you can do as, I'm assuming, sort of a one-off scenario-based going up against the bad guys type of thing. But let's go back to that second point there in the intro, right? Toxic fan bases. You know, I recently became more enamored with Dice Throne, Marvel Dice Throne. My kids love it. Absolutely love it. And they love Thor. They love Miles Morales. Those are my kids' two favorite ones, right? You know me, I'm playing Black Widow over there instead, or even Doctor Strange. But I decided that I wanted to know more information. I saw this leak, this preview, this hype marketing via Facebook. And so I joined the Facebook group for Dice Throne. And let me kid you not, this thing is like 5 digits strong, right? Thousands and thousands of people. And I'll be honest, I was surprised with what I've seen so far, especially with some of the latest reveals. But let's be frank here, with all of the reveals, there is this feeling, this need of constant negativity, yucking on people's yum for the sake of doing so. People that are trashing it, big time fans that don't like the aesthetic value. The aesthetic value isn't good enough. The variants of whatever your favorite character that's been revealed so far aren't as appeasing to you as you would have liked, and you're going nuclear on a Facebook forking group because of it? I mean, it's becoming toxic. Literally, in the last 2 weeks, I log on to there. Now, I actually have Facebook mostly for the buy, sell, and trade groups, but that's a whole nother issue. And seeing some sort of post either saying, hey folks, if you don't like it, just move on and pass on accordingly and don't say anything. Or, I hate Iceman's latest images. Why did they screw this up? Sort of like you see with the Star Wars stuff, right? Like, Thrawn isn't close enough to the actuality of what it was previously, how he really looks. Whatever the crap like that, right? Oh, the Iceman isn't what I imagined or what the official comic variant is, so therefore this game sucks. I'm going to boycott it until they change it. That's the toxic stuff that you're seeing. Only, insert a few adjectives, insert a few expletives, whatever else you want there. But like, seriously, enough so that the heads of the group that are actually like Dice Throne folks are having to step in, including one of the designers, Manny Trebly, and saying, hey, this isn't okay. Like, you're okay to critique. You're okay to say you don't like it. Your opinion is valid. But not like that, man. Holy crap. Like, and to be frank, I can say a lot of things about Facebook, can say a lot of things about social media, but this is by far and away the most toxic, except for that other one, revolution. This group is going to make Reddit jealous of how hateful they are at times. And that's not to say it's all bad apples, right? But these bad apples, boy, are they sure squeaking and apparently needing a lot of oil. What's the controversy? Does it really matter? No, frankly, it doesn't matter. But enough on that. Let me show you them. Let me show you some pics of what we got off of those. And let me show you my thoughts as well going along with it so far. First up here, we have Wolverine. Now, again, this one got some criticism because they're going with an old school coloring of his uniform, which, again, say what you will. I'm familiar with it. I have no problem with it. It's not my preferred aesthetic color scheme of Wolverine. But who freaking cares? It's a minor thing. Gameplay, that's what matters. So we scroll in here and you can start to see what he's got going on. You got your straight damage. Now, you've got his healing factor, though, in the upper left-hand corner here with this adamantium claws. You've got just straight up regenerate, which is also going to heal, but remove status effects and do undefendable damage. That's awesome. Healing there as well. Rage and a bunch of damage here, but you're going to be rolling 4 dice as part of that ability. That's awesome. Then we go over to the right side here. Then you get into your small straights and your large straights where you're getting more rage, more damage, and alpha. Alpha is the other ability that Wolverine has. Basically, you roll head-to-head dice with somebody else, and if you're the alpha, you roll the higher number, they get this other token, and they miss their income phase. That sounds like a minor thing, right? But it's a nice variant of stuff that we've seen out there without having too much creep. And that's the biggest issue you have to deal with this game, is not getting into the creep side of things. Otherwise, you got damage down here, alpha down there again, healing, raging, alpha all there. And the defensive role here, again, is slightly different, where you're going to be dealing damage back and gaining rage, because, I mean, that's what Wolverine does. The ultimate down here, again, heal, rage, 12 damage. And you can divide it among any opponents that you may want. So, I mean, that's okay. I don't really think that that's that useful. If you're like me, you prefer to play this game at a 1 versus 1 player count. Although, like I said before, if I'm playing with both my kids, it's 1 versus 1 versus 1. So, honestly, you know, if I'm playing with kids, I'm probably still going to use all 12 damage on one kid. Sorry. So here it goes over the alpha ability and the rage ability. The rage that I didn't mention, though, is you spend 1 and discard 1 to add 3 damage. Or you can spend 3 rage to draw a card. So adding 3 damage there is actually pretty massive. That's indicative of just the damage dealing machine, the Weapon X that he is. He's also going to have some other cards. If you look at his actual player card here, that goes over the abilities again in depth like you're maybe used to. So again, the Astonishing Recovery and the Frenzy cards are going to be something else different that he's got available to him with some of the asymmetric portion of his deck in the first place. So all in all, what I think of Wolverine, I mean, it's nice. It's quaint. It's berserker, barbarian, sort of very straightforward. So, okay. Iceman. Now we have Iceman. I mean, you can see that this is not what your typical Iceman is normally looking like. And you know what? Again, who forking cares? Get over it yourself. So, what do we got going on, though? He's got 2 different abilities here, and one of them you can see highlighted very subtly on this board if you're paying close attention. You can see that there is an arrow right above my head over here, right here. And that allows you, if you use this ability, if you have a token called Glide, if you have his Glide ability, you take the Glide path and you activate the other ability, if I'm interpreting this correctly. He also has a freezer in which you're going to store ice shards. And you'll notice that a lot of these say you are storing ice shards. You can only store up to 5. If you store 5, though, it carries over and makes a Glide token. Then you can see the comboing. The ice shards actually are going to empower or strengthen your attacks as you go along. Ice Storm itself is the ultimate here, 11 damage, 5 ice shards in the freezer, 2 dice cubes. What are the dice cubes? Well, the dice cubes mean that when you are afflicted with one of these tokens, when you roll your dice in the first roll, you can't re-roll the lowest die. And if you stack limit it at 2, they can't re-roll 2 of the lowest die. That's pretty good. Again, something slightly different without having the power creep. It runs you through the ice shards here, but again, you can boost abilities, spend them to gain glide, like I mentioned there as well. An example of his asymmetric cards here, as you can see, you're going to be storing them also in a separate place called the freezer that doesn't count against your stack limit. You're going to be gaining these various abilities, and just really straightforward otherwise from that aspect. So what do we think overall, Iceman? You know, I like the glide a lot. I'm not sure how I feel about the shards. I mean, he's just going to be buffing up his own abilities, essentially. Not as unique as I was hoping for, but also, okay, I'll take it. Then we're heading over to Psylocke, who so far reminds me more of my personal favorite Black Widow, because she got several similar abilities going on here. And you can see that she's going to be having 4 different abilities at your disposal. One, we've already seen agility with previous characters, right? Roll a certain die, take half damage if you hit. Infiltrate, well, you can make them reroll a defensive die. Paralyze, can't gain or lose status effects. Then you have the manifest die, which is an extra die. Now it's locked unless it's manipulatable by a specific ability that says you can manipulate the manifest die, but already kind of cool, little extra there as well. So when you go over to her board here, you can see, well, the basic is still basic. The second one here is very much like Wolverine's, 3 undefendable, and you get the manifest die, gain some. You got a passive down here though, as the manifest die, allowing you to get in more stuff to be able to activate abilities. Agility there, damage, strain over here, you're getting the other 2 that I mentioned, the paralyzing and the infiltrate, and then your defensive roll again is going to be doing damage, drawing, or gaining agility. So not really defending in that way, but allowing you to at least mitigate it by the agility in the first place. So again, not as unique as I was hoping for, but I do like the manifest die, which is going to allow her to get more stuff off quicker. And then last part, she's got a few cards here. This is where maybe the better stuff is going to come out through that manifest die. For example, if you use the manifest die here to attack, you can heal for the same amount. You're going to be having other ways of mitigating it, adding damage here. So again, hopefully she's a little bit more of a glass cannon-esque figure, because she's also a telekinetic, you know, and I wish she would have a little bit more from that side of things. So we'll see if there's any other unique cards in their deck that kind of give her an extra boost there, because then I'm going to like her a lot more. Last but not least here, we have Storm, and you can see just from the get-go, 3 abilities, some lightning tokens, and what look like twisters. Okay, let's go. I mean, I'll be frank with you guys. Of these so far right now, Storm looks like the overwhelming winner. Storm looks like the overwhelming, overpowered character comparatively. Let's run through these 3 abilities and you'll see why. Lightning bolts. You're going to be charging your abilities. You do more damage or more effect if they have the little lightning bolt token next to them as you're getting those charges in the first place. The tornado. You just get to take somebody else's die and use it as part of your ability roll. And then the wind shear. You prevent 2 damage and you get to choose somebody else to receive 2 damage of undefendable damage. That's insane abilities all right there. Very, very utility across the board. Nothing weak at all. Last but not least, going back to her ability board, as you can see, again, gaining a lot of this stuff very easily, gaining extra damage in the base effect, but this one just gets to add 3 damage if it's charged. Again, charged effect, charged effect, charged effect over here, 6 damage to gain 2 tornadoes. So you're gaining a lot of these tokens really easily. And then again, she's blocking damage and gaining tons of tokens here on the defensive roll. And she's got 5 defensive dice. That also is insane. Dealing the same amount of damage as Wolverine here with the 12 damage. And if it's charged even, you can even deal 2 more and get 2 additional tornadoes. So without a doubt, she is the, Omega level mutant in this case that is going to be everyone's pick, I guess, from that standpoint. So a little bit about these last 4. What do you need to know about these last 4? Well, we know so far Jean Grey. We know Cyclops. Spoilers and spoilers here. Not even out yet at this point. It's going to be Rogue and Gambit. There were some leaks. And the internet's got it and Reddit's got it, because if you're like me and you're part of the Dice Throne community on Facebook and or Reddit, they captured it and I couldn't stop myself from spoiling it. So I'm spoiling it for you. Rogue and Gambit. How do you feel about that? The other question mark box is going to be, well, we know the missions. We know is it going to be another pairing? Are you going to have a Magneto Professor X? Are you going to have something, that ilk like a Santa Krampus, opposite polarities going head to head in that sense? Is it going to be a Deadpool whatever? For fourth wall breaking the craziness? That's going to be the question that you need to know. Let's go into the Jean Grey though, because Jean Grey deserves a special attention, as well as some Cyclops. So here, let's start off with Jean Grey, and it looks relatively straightforward, right? She's got a couple that we're seeing, Flame Blast, as well as Acuity damages. But you look down here in the lower left-hand corner, and you see Phoenix Force. Begins active, but you have to switch between Jean Grey and the Dark Phoenix. That's what you got going on here. As well as her special passive ability here in the middle, draw 1, obviously, at the beginning of your main phase. But if you activate an offensive ability, and your dice show 3 of a kind at the same time, you're going to draw an extra card. That's really kind of cool. What's Flame Blast? What is Acuity? That's what we don't see. But you also see over here we have Astral Combat, which plays directly off of the Phoenix. Damage from Astral Combat becomes undefendable if she's in Dark Phoenix mode. That's not insignificant. And you're gaining a heck of a lot of tokens to go along there as well. What's also interesting on her other ability, when we blow this up over here, the Psychic Multiplier. So what otherwise is interesting also, if you go up to Psychic Multiplier here, right? Gain 3 Acuity, roll a die, gain half the value as a Flame Blast, and dealing pure damage as well. So comborific there in addition. Then we start going over to Cyclops, and we see he's going to be a support person. He is the leader. He is giving things out, and so that's what's going to be. Leadership cards are going to be a thing here, and then you can start to see what else we have going on with him. Because here, we're going to have a little bit of battle plan, focus fire, and support. So he's going to have at least 3 abilities you're going to be mitigating. And what are those going to do, though, is kind of the question here. Because he's inflicting, he's gaining, and he's dealing undefendable. Now, if he gets several of a kind, though, up here, you can see in the very, very blurry text, he's getting a bonus ability not all the X-Men characters that we've run through are going to get. And then this teamwork down here that we saw previously, and he is getting some defensive dice in terms of being able to mitigate some of these attacks over here. Again, just like the cards are going to be probably the biggest make it or break it so far in these situations. This little graphic teaser here, and they say that, as noted on here, one of the big boxes on the left is your, battle chest of all the 8, whatever we're talking about. The one on the right is going to be your missions. The question, though, is what is the center one? People are supposing it's something all different altogether, a single box sort of thing like they did with Santa and Krampus. Other people are like, it's Deadpool! And it's going to be a Deadpool, something crazy, one-off, box by itself. And neither would surprise me at this point, but we're going to see. So here's a little bit of a closer look as well. Something going along with missions. These are the allies they're going to be able to recruit. And you can see we're going to be diving a little bit deeper into the Marvel pool, if you will, from an X-Men side of things, but also a non-X-Men side of things as well. Sort of an Avengers mix here. Beast, which means obviously Beast, it probably isn't going to get a main character. But then you have the Hulk, you have Wong, and you have Mantis. Very similar characters from a game called Marvel Puzzle Quest that I have on my phone right now. And you can see they're going to be adding things in all of the various phases. Not only your main phase, your recruitment to give you sort of a passive, but as well as your active roll phase. And you can go over here and you can see a few more. Iron Man, which is going to give you a whole new ability of rolling 5 of a kind, essentially, again. Then you have the passive and during the roll phase as well with Wasp and Squirrel Girl here, respectively. So that being said, where do I think of things right now? With the 6 that we know and the 2 that are upcoming, I mean, I'm still very, very, very excited for Gambit. I think Gambit is going to be a completely cool character with a kinetic energy ability. Rogue is going to be the big question mark, because not only if you think about Rogue within the Marvel universe, but if you think of Rogue being able to absorb other people's powers, like what happens with that when you start porting them outside with like season 1 and season 2? And so the possibilities of the Rogue are just crazy. I like flipping back and forth between actually Jean Grey and Dark Phoenix. I think that gives us a lot of other future things that they can play off of that people were sort of concerned about. Like, I don't know what they can do. Like, that was the big question with these two. These two that I had prior to whether or not they were going to be in part of things in the first place. Now that they've shown us some glimpses, though, I really like what I'm seeing. Going back to Wolverine, I was a little bit off put, but apparently more of the breakdown of Wolverine is he's just going to be a pure damage dealing combo machine, especially with the card heavy gameplay as well as natural healing. The natural healing factor makes him a much longer lasting. Iceman, that's going to be a little bit of hit or miss depending on how complicated you want to be with those ice powers. Psylocke is just cool. She's got a lot of cool abilities, and I'm excited to see what she can really ramp up and do, and how is her psychic stuff going to be different essentially from Jean Grey's, because that's the other telekinetic head-to-head battle you've got potentially going on there as well. And then the question is going to be, again, we saw missions. I showed you a little bit of the mission pictures and the allies that are going to be doing this. I wasn't a huge fan of adventures, but if you give me missions and things like that that can be incorporated in some way, shape, or form as sort of a step up or just a lateral step than what you've got already previously in the other 2 ways, I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that right now, and we'll see what you can do. And with that last mystery box right now, again, I would love it to be a Deadpool, but I would totally take a head-to-head Magneto Xavier. Like, that would be ideal. That would be awesome. And I'd love to see what you can put out from that aspect of things. So we'll see. Storm still looks like the powerhouse of all 6 of the ones that have been revealed, but Jean Grey may give her a run for her money, as well as just the pure damage dealing Logan. So you may not like the art, but I like the abilities. So there you go. Spoilers, revealed, analysis, thoughts, all in one. Dice thrown. Not much time left. Let's go. Show us what you got. Thanks for watching. Stay classy. Let me know what you think. Which one are you most excited about? Who do you want to see in that mystery box? Let me know in the comment section down below. And do you think they're going to have any other surprises in store for us during the actual campaign? Or is it all going to get revealed prior to the campaign? Sort of cool. Also anticlimactic, but anticlimactic in a cool way. So there you go. That's all I got. Subscribe if you want. Peace out.